So you're looking to buy or refinance a home in Marysville, Washington, sometime in 2026. Awesome. But you've probably got this nagging question about one of the first big costs you'll face, the home appraisal. How much is this actually going to set you back? Well, you've come to the right place. Let's get you a clear, simple answer.
All right, let's just cut right to the chase. What's the real number we're talking about here? How much should you be setting aside for this really important step? We're going to give you the facts, no fluff.
And there you have it, $850 for a standard single-family home or your typical condo in Marysville. That's your baseline number. So let's burn that into your brain, $850. Think of it as our starting point for everything else.
But you might be wondering, where did I just pull that number from? Is it just a guess? Nope. It's actually based on an official, super reliable source that kind of sets the gold standard for the entire state of Washington. It all comes from what's called the VA fee schedule. Now, here's the really important part. Even if you're not getting a VA loan, a ton of lenders and appraisers use this schedule as a benchmark for what's fair. It creates one flat fee structure, so the baseline price in Marysville is the same as it is everywhere else in Washington. Pretty cool, right? Okay, let's dig into this a little more. That $850 number covers most single-family homes and condos. But what if you're buying something different? Well, if it's a manufactured home, you should probably budget closer to $900. And if you're looking at a multifamily property, like a duplex or a fourplex, that price jumps up to around $1,100. So you can see how the type of property you're buying really matters. But, and this is a big but, it's so important to remember that $850 is just the starting line. It's not always the final number you'll see on the invoice. So what are the things that can actually push that cost higher? Let's get into the top three.
You know, it really just boils down to these three things: how complex the property is, where it's located, and how easy it is to get to. And of course, how fast you need that report back. Any one of these can add a little extra to your final bill.
First up, let's talk about property complexity. And this just makes sense, right? Appraising a cookie-cutter house in a subdivision is one thing, but analyzing a one-of-a-kind custom home sitting on 5 acres or a tricky waterfront property, that's a whole different ballgame. It takes a lot more work, more time, more expertise, and yeah, that's going to be reflected in the fee. Next is location. I mean, if the property is way out in a remote area, far from central Marysville, or maybe it's just a real pain to get to, the appraiser has to account for that extra travel time. It's only fair. And that cost, it's often just built right into the quote they give you. And last but not least, time. As they say, time is money, and that is definitely true in real estate. The standard wait time for an appraisal is about 14 business days. But if you're on a super tight deadline and you need it, like, yesterday, you can usually get it done faster, but you should absolutely expect to pay a rush fee for that speedy service. Okay, so we've covered the base cost, and we've talked about the things that can make it go up. So how do you take all this info and turn it into a real-world budget plan that won't leave you with any nasty surprises? Let's walk through it, step by step. Here is your super simple 3-step guide. First, start with that base number. Pencil in $850. Step 2, add a little buffer. I think somewhere between $50 and $150 is a pretty safe bet to cover any weird complexities or last-minute rush request. And third, this one is so important, talk to your lender. Confirm everything, especially if you have a VA loan, because those fee caps are mandatory and they're there to protect you from getting overcharged. And that's really the whole idea here. This isn't about throwing a dart at a board and hoping for the best. It's about having a smart plan. If you use that official VA schedule as your foundation and then just adjust it for your specific situation, you can budget for this realistically and just cruise towards your closing day with total confidence. So, we've totally nailed down the cost, but let me leave you with one final thought. Now that you know the price tag, what's the real value of an appraisal? Because it's so much more than just a number on a bill. It's an independent, expert opinion that protects what's probably the single biggest investment you'll ever make. And that's something worth remembering as you take your next steps.